Namaskar. So today let's talk about how to live a happy life. Happy life, such a broad subject. But I believe that's what most of us want. In fact, I believe that's ultimately what everybody wants. And we most of the time in our life, we based our decisions actually, I feel, entirely on what will make us happy. We do certain things because I believe, that will make us happy. If we don't do certain things, it's because we feel like, we're not gonna feel good about it. And even if we choose to do something that which doesn't really please us, immediately short-term gratification, it's because long-term wise we believe, okay, there's something good that which will make us feel. And if you think about that, I feel like for most people, most of the time in our life, like our um, study, career, marriage, or all these decisions, oftentimes are based on this. Is this gonna make me feel good? Is this gonna make me happy? But surprisingly, I feel like apart from very young children, like they have this natural tendency to go for things which makes them feel good. But as us grow up, I feel we actually need to be taught or like how to be happy. Like oftentimes it's like we want to be happy, but we don't know how to. Interesting, isn't it? So that's how we are susceptible for like advertisements, or like many people binge watching certain things, or they think, oh, going traveling is good because they see all these advertisements, or they see all these photos on social media, so they think, okay, maybe this is what makes me feel good. And in fact, I think we all have gone through that kind of, at least most of us gone through that period of time that we feel like, oh, okay, we try this. Is it gonna make me feel good? And if it makes me feel good, but oftentimes it's like, yes, I go out with friends, that makes me feel good. But then you feel like you want more. It's not gonna satisfy our desires. Basically, it seems like we just keep wanting more, you know and because we just want more, and it's difficult to get more. Like, for example, it's impossible for our friends to give us unlimited attention. Like, even if we get all the attention that we want in the world, we probably still feel it's not enough. 24 hours attention is not enough, really. That's really how human mind is. So it's interesting, it's like human beings who want to be happy, but at the same time, we don't really know how to be happy. So in my opinion, all the spirituality or even religious beliefs or ways of life or something is kind of to tell you, like, okay, if you do this, then you will be happy. You will attain that, we say, mental peace, eternal peace in mind, and you will feel good. And that's the ultimate happiness that we want. But I find it really interesting, like many people, when they do, in many people pray, and I think that's very easy to do. Like, very easy to do that, because when you have something which you don't feel things are going well in your life, and you just tend to ask, you think like, okay, maybe if I ask some like higher entity, then it will it will correct things, and makes me feel good again. But the thing is, often what we think is gonna make us feel good, like I said, like, because most of the time we actually don't know what will really make us happy, so we tend to look for like standards, like the external standards. Okay, so people said, if you live in a life which is of material abundance, then you will feel good. So people go for that one. Or if you study well, you become a big scholar, then you will feel good. And so you go for that one. And if we don't do that, and if we don't achieve that, then we feel like, okay, then it's not good enough. And if I achieve that, then I will feel good. So often, especially, I also see that among parents a lot, and they don't want anything bad happen to their children. They want their children to be happy, really. But what will really make the children happy, they themselves don't really know. They don't even really know what will make themselves happy. So for example, would they go to prayer, to say, oh God, please, or these goddesses, or this god, or these saints, please, get my son into a good school. If he has good education, then it will be good, and then he will be happy. And then some people say, I offer so much, so many things to the temple. My auntie spent tons of money to build new temples, or I respect all these monks and nuns a lot, or priests, and I pray every day, I read Bible every day, or I do meditation every day. Why bad things still happen to me? And this is not working. It doesn't work, and I'm not gonna do this anymore. So I believe, if people, know something about Buddhism, about this theory of karma. Well, actually, the word karma is a little bit misleading to me, because karma actually means actions, and the reactions of these actions called karmaphala. So karmaphala means those reactions of the original action that we've done, that we have to go through. It's called karmaphala. And samskara, it means those karmaphala we haven't been through yet. So they are still dormant in our mind, like seeds which are gonna grow at some point later in this life or next life, or next lives. I hope I'll get liberation in this life. Yes. Well, so and the thing is, if you do something, if you have done something which makes other people or other creatures feeling pleasant, then you will also have any reaction, that you will experience. Your actions make other people in their mind feeling good. So the reactions, the karmaphala that you will get, is in your mind. You will also experience the same amount of pleasure that you have given to another person or other people. And the same thing, it's if what you have done make other people suffer, then, for example, this amount is small amount, and in your mind you will also feel that suffering this much. Okay, so lives, it's a lot about, well, it's basically all about this actions and its reactions. And once we finish all the reactions, then it's kind of we go back to that original state, which is just peace, like this. So having said that, it really means that actually whatever good things or so-called bad things or good things in our life that we go through is actually just part of the process. If we know that once we exhaust all these processes, then we will really attain that eternal peace. Then that is really the happiness that we're going for. So So then you don't really take these kind of things so seriously. Like, I feel even people, when they don't have any spiritual practice or religious belief, and I've noticed this kind of people, they do a lot, try to avoid, they make the decisions in their life, try to avoid all the difficulties or the hardships. And yeah, but in the end of the day, most things in our life actually we can't control, right? Like, the only thing really we can control in our life is ourselves, right? Like, how I decide to respond to certain things, like how am I gonna go about doing this or approach that. But as far as like the result of my actions, that is not something in my hand. Like, for example, today I really want to help someone, help a friend. I feel, oh, maybe she's going through some hard time. So I call her, trying to console her. And then, like, what I said actually irritated her, and I will feel like, oh, come on, I'm just like doing this out of some very good intention. I want to help. And how come she got that kind of reaction? And that makes her feel worse and make me feel bad, and that is not something we can control, and people said, what is basically, how do you know like that you are experiencing a karmaphala, a reaction of your previous karma? Is exactly like this kind of situation. Like, you talk to a friend, and you're very nice, full of love and good intention, but somehow the response that you got was like really really different, and that will means you're experiencing like this. It makes you feel bad, so you're experiencing something that you have done which also make people feel bad in a very similar way, actually probably exactly the same way. Yeah. So one thing people often ask, or people often misunderstand, is like, okay, so that probably means, like in Chinese we have this saying, that probably means like you, in your previous life, you made your friend feel bad. No, she made you feel, no, you made her, sorry, you made her feel bad in that way. So this life, she's getting back to you, but it's not like that. It's not necessarily the same subjects. Oftentimes it's not, like it's all about like ourselves, and the circumstances will create some situations which make us go through similar things, but not necessarily with the same soul, shall we say. So this is really how it is, like every day in our life. And what we see is just this process of karma and karmaphala. But ultimately, like when you do meditation, or when you can step back to see a bigger picture of life, then you realize all these good things and bad things, you're going through, pleasure and pains, they're just process, and they're equally important in if we want to go back to that original state of eternal peace. They're just part of the necessary process. So even if you try to avoid hardships, for example, like some people, they really do their best to avoid all the difficulties. They follow the book basically. So they have well-paid job, and they have like good marriage, good career, and they help people in their in their spare time. You're full of good intention, all these things, and then you feel like, oh, that must be like a very happy life. In fact, people look for role models like this all the time. Like, you look for role models, or somebody is like fighting for justice, that means like, he must be having, or she must be having such a must make her feel good. So we look for role models like that who will believe like their life is very meaningful and full of happiness. But uh, you go and see, then you will feel, then you will see like, oh, actually for some reason, like I have met many people like that. It seems like everything is going well in their life according to our social standard, what most people perceive as good things, but somehow they're just not happy, because you always have to go through what the karmaphala for your previous actions. So like if everything's going well in all aspects of your life, then but then your mind will still have to go through things, so sometimes you feel like, yeah, people are very crazy. You feel like, what do they want? They have everything and they're still unhappy, so this is like that. So in my opinion, what is the best way to deal with this? So it is impossible to avoid pains, sufferings or unpleasant things in our life. So instead of navigate through life trying to avoid them, how about so we stop doing many things because we don't want to go through those troubles, but the reality is we just can't avoid them. So how about, you can sit at home and suffer from these mental uneasiness or suffering, but you can also like go out and do something meaningful to the world and you help people. You will still have those mental suffering, but then your actions are different, and your actions have different impacts, like hopefully. And so you would rather to, for example, like when you, for example, you fight for environmental issues, of course you will go through many difficulties, but I feel like that is more meaningful rather than you stay at home and have arguments with children or with your superior or with the neighbors and all these things. So that's how we can channelize like the karma phalas we just have to go through into something which is beneficial for the whole universe, I would say. Yeah. So if we once we can stop like try to navigate away from difficulties, then we will become fearless, really, and we'll become courageous. And then when we do things that we feel is meaningful and we're not afraid of difficulties. And then there's a saying like in spirituality, in my practice, my guru used to say, well, the difficulties that we're going through will never be bigger than the capacity of our mind. So what does that mean? It means, like, for example, the difficulty level is, like you play computer game, is like 100. But then your mental capacity will be, for example, 102. Okay, so you can handle it. You can handle these difficulties. But the problem is because it's very, very close. So you feel like, I can't make it, but actually you can. Yes. And what spiritual practice or meditation, or it's not just sitting down and meditate, it's a lot of other different things, is what it does is to raise your mental capacity. So originally, say everybody, when we were born, well, actually we're all different because what we trained in our previous lives, this will carry on. Our mental capacity of doing things, it will carry on actually through lives. And so this is something really like, if you work on, like if you accumulate money, the money will be lost when you die, but the mental capacity that you trained in your previous life, it will be carried on to the next life. So for example, like before you start doing any spiritual practice, your mental capacity was like 100, and through the practice, you will raise it. Sometimes slowly, sometimes very fast. It really depends on how much work you're putting into it. So you raise it to 200. So it means you can go through bigger hardship. For people, and we all know that the issues, the human society has become very, very connected these days. So the complexity of the problems that we're facing now, they become, much more. And so if we raise our mental capacity, it actually means we have more capacity to help others, and for ourselves, it actually make it quicker for us to exhaust all the karmaphalas we have to experience, and getting us closer to that eternal peace. Yes, so come back to the question today is how to lead a happy life. Is basically not to follow the standard, from the society and others. It's that happiness, eternal, infinite peace, can only be achieved within ourselves and through introversive spiritual practice, and actually not being afraid of facing the difficulties will help us achieve that real happiness faster, and it will help us stronger as well. Human beings, we want happiness, and we also want other people to be happy ultimately. Like, if we're happy but other people are not happy, we can never be truly happy. Yes, so make us happy and make other people happy. So not afraid of difficulties and obstacles. That will lead really to a truly happy life. Okay, namaskar. Oh, I think it means I should play some kirtan. Yes. So this is a kirtan. It's also a bhajan that I wrote some time ago, and it's called Children of the Ocean. We are children of the ocean. We were born in the sea. We would go back to the sea. We play and flow in between. We were born between the stars. Sun and moon, our brother It is always with us. Namaskar. Thank you, everybody.